Hi Acadiana, I'm Meteorologist Dave Baker, ready for a weekend. It's Friday, July the 19th. Started out to be a pretty rainy one here in Acadiana, and I do think there will be some more rains developing a little bit later on this afternoon. Welcome to Let's Talk Tropics, a short little talk about what's going on in the tropics and how they're going to be affecting the next couple of weeks or so. We don't have a whole lot that's out there to worry about right now. Some tropical waves out there, but a ton of Saharan dust. But as most of you know, locally, we've got lots and lots and lots of tropical moisture in place. We had quite a bit of rain across Acadiana during the early part of the day, but things have calmed down for right now. And you can see that there is some sunshine starting to peek through some of these clouds as well. Latest check of the temperature here in Lafayette was 84 degrees, and we've seen that dew point running about 74, so our heat index is currently holding right around 91 degrees. Looking at the radar, the rain that we had earlier this morning has now moved off toward the east. We'll just kind of go ahead and grab the New Orleans radar there, and you can see some big thunderstorms starting to roll over Lake Pontchartrain and along that I-55 corridor on the North Shore, and then also the city of New Orleans is picking up on some of those rains as well. Back to the west, though, we're not seeing a whole lot developing just quite yet, but there are some little areas of rain that are just going to try to get going right about in here, and I think the development zone is going to happen in that area. And then things will start to push off toward the east later on this afternoon. We're starting to reach those convective temperatures once again as things have warmed up, just kind of waiting for the atmosphere to recharge, and then we'll see what happens a little bit later this afternoon, but keeping those rain chances running at about 70%. I did want to show you this graphic here. This is what we call the skew T, and basically what this is all the information we get from the weather balloon that's released, this one from Lake Charles. And just kind of looking at this here, you can see that the red line and the green line are right next to each other. The red line is the temperature, the green line is the dew point, and then of course as you go higher up into the atmosphere, our atmosphere is pretty much saturated there, and was looking at the precipitable water there at 2.47. That's pretty high. In fact, that's way up at the top of the range of what we would see for precipitable water, and that's the amount of water that the atmosphere has to work with when it comes to producing the thunderstorm. So when you have PWs that are running over 2 inches like that, and when you're getting up to 2.5, you can get some really efficient rain producing thunderstorms. So that's something we're looking at not just for today, but for the remainder of the weekend. So there is a bit of a flood threat, even though this is not an official tropical type of system that we would be dealing with. We are dealing with a lot of tropical moisture, and I'll explain why here in just a second. So let's go ahead and look at the Gulf of Mexico satellite. And we've got a frontal boundary that's now draped across, bit of a low pressure area along with it, and that's what's kept the action going across the region here today. We've got a ridge of high pressure that's out here. So at the low levels, generally most of the flow is coming in out of the south here and will continue to do so. A little bit of an upper level piece of energy down here that's spinning over the Gulf of Mexico. But all in all, we are seeing more of an onshore flow, and then it kind of butts up against that front, and what we're going to basically do is just wring it out like a washcloth. The more daytime heating we get, the better chance we're going to see those thunderstorms firing up. As far as the wave heights, they haven't been too impressive over the Gulf of Mexico. Generally about 1 to 2 feet here in the lighter blue, and about 2 to 3, maybe up to 4 feet here down over the Bay of Campeche. So all of our friends who are out there working in the Gulf of Mexico, probably looking at some decent conditions out there, except for closer to the near shore waters where we do have the clouds and the scattered showers and thunderstorms. So hi to all the folks that are working out in the offshore waters today. Looking at the satellite imagery for Central America, we do have a tropical wave that's working its way onto the coast right now, and it's producing some pretty good thunderstorms there off the coast of Mexico and Belize, and some of those heavier downpours have now started to reach the more mountainous areas here between Honduras and Nicaragua, and you still got some action out here in the the Caribbean Sea there along the Nicaraguan and Costa Rican coast that will bring some heavy downpours down there. As far as the Caribbean, it is pretty quiet. That tropical wave right here, and then you've got another tropical wave that's kind of working across the islands right now. It isn't bringing a lot of rains out there. You're getting some storms in and around Puerto Rico and over here toward the Virgin Islands as well, and more of an upper low that's up here to the north right here. So that's not tropical in nature. And then you've got some more action coming in off the northern coast of South America there as another tropical wave starts to work across. So looking at the bigger picture, a lot of Saharan dust once again. You can really pick that up on the satellite right in there. You've got Saharan dust over the western part of the Atlantic. You got Saharan dust out here in the Caribbean as well, and some of it is starting to work its way into the Gulf of Mexico. Not quite as much as what you're seeing out over the Atlantic, but it is going to continue to stream over the Acadiana area and much of the Gulf of Mexico. Tropical wave there, and another one trying to come off the coast of Africa right now. So not a whole lot out there to talk about, at least for the next several days, as the National Hurricane Center thinks things are going to be pretty quiet, and a lot of that is because of all this Saharan dust and dry air. So anything that works off of the Atlantic Ocean and tries to work off toward the west is going to be interacting with some of that Saharan dust. There's the Saharan dust map. Everything that's the dry air and the Saharan dust is kind of highlighted in the orange and red, and it covers just about all of the Atlantic basin, and there's just not a lot of moisture out there either for these tropical waves to work with as they try to work off toward the west. All of the tropical moisture is going to be here over Acadiana, not going to be anything developing tropical in nature. It's just going to stay really, really wet here along the Gulf Coast over the next couple of days, but I don't think anything's going to happen out here with all that dry air in place. Shear is another factor that's been keeping things at bay. We do have a lot of shear out here in the middle part of the Atlantic, the development zone coming off the African coast, much of the Caribbean as well. Western Atlantic has a lot of wind shear too. So a lot of folks are asking, are we going to actually have a hurricane season? Well, I'll tell you the truth, this happens just about each and every year. You get a little action in June and early part of July, and then things just shut down for a number of weeks. And a lot of that is pretty much the same way it goes each and every year, and a lot of it has to do with the Saharan dust. GFS model and the Euro, for the most part, neither one of them showing anything interesting. The Euro at times has a little trough trying to develop here over the Atlantic Ocean, but it doesn't look too strong and it doesn't last for too many frames. I would just say we're just basically going to have the big old Bermuda high out there as it normally would be this time of the year, and then that just kind of cruises everything off toward the west-northwest through the Caribbean and toward Central America. And if anything were to develop here right off the east coast, say a front were to come in, anything there would tend to push back out to sea and would not be a worry for us here in the Acadiana region. But a lot of folks are asking what's going to be happening over the next couple of weeks. Well, really, I don't think there's going to be much out there, but we are about ready to start to work our way into the month of August. And remember, August and September is considerably more busy on average than the month of July. And our development zones, for the most part, are about the same as what we would see in June, although sometimes we get a few extra tropical systems try to develop along a front off the east coast, and occasionally you'll get something developing out in the Caribbean or even the far western Atlantic there near the Windward Islands. But look how much this changes as we get into the month of August. You really pretty much see just about everything open for business. And if we can get the Saharan dust to really kind of taper off in this area, then some of these waves, as they start to work their way across the Atlantic Ocean, might have a better chance for development. And with some of the waters being quite warm and the tropical cyclone heat potential being sky high, I think we're probably going to be seeing the potential for tropical systems to start developing again, probably once we get into the first part of August and definitely by September. Usually you have about 4 named storms during the month of August, and another 4 on average will come during September, and about 3 or 4 during the month of October. So that's 4, 8, 9, that's 11 that we could potentially, just if we stayed average here through the month of October. And that would take us to 14 named storms, which is the average for an average hurricane season. So far we got 3 under our belt, but busier days are going to be coming, so don't let your guard down just yet. Of course, tropical weather outlook from the National Hurricane Center showing that everything is going to stay relatively quiet here for the next 7 days. So that is good news for everybody. Make sure that you're still thinking about your preparation, getting the supplies that you need, and having a plan in place for you and your family to keep everybody safe, especially if you have one of those evacuation plans. Make sure you got 2 escape routes to get out, and also make sure that you've got everything ready to go, that you can make that bug out bag and have everything that you need for you, your family, your kids especially, as well as your pets. Well, we're going to end it right here on Let's Talk Tropics. If you like it, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel and turn on those notifications. I'm enjoying hanging out with everybody for lunch every weekday afternoon. Let's Talk Tropics will be back on Monday. Don't know if we'll have any action going on the channel, the YouTube channel, over the course of the weekend, but most of you probably follow my social media pages, so if there's any flood warnings or if we get into any kind of situation over the weekend, I'll be on social media. If it gets somewhat more severe, then we'll go ahead and activate the severe weather stream right here on Acadiana Weather Today. And if you have those notifications turned on, you will get that that alert that we're going live. So hopefully we won't see you over the weekend, but there is a chance because of some of the heavy downpours that will be out there. I hope everybody has a really great day and a great weekend as well. I'm Meteorologist Dave Baker, and I hope to see you on Sunday.